Patrick Riggins Show. Call in now, 865-243-TALK. That's 243-8255. And now your host, Patrick Riggins.
Welcome to the Patrick Riggins Show, the rebellious show of the airwaves. I don't have, nor do I follow any marching orders from any political party. I don't have handlers or advisors telling me what to say or do. All I have is you, my listening audience. And from what you're telling us week in and week out, you agree with what we are trying to do here. Helping us along and spreading our message is the only radio station capable of covering such a wide area of this part of the country. It is none other than WNOX FM 100.3 with a massive 100,000-watt signal permeating parts of 5 states and 2 time zones. There is not a whole lot of ground not being covered. But if you happen to be on that rare not covered ground, you can tune us in over the internet at www.wnoxfm.com. If you do that, not only do you get to listen to this great radio show, you can watch us here in the studio as well, all from our live webcam. If you need that address again, it is wnoxfm.com. And along with me is one of the true rebels of the station. It's our producer, Tori, dancing the Billy Idol over here.
Doing the fist pump.
Yeah. I told Tori I'm gonna put us a little stage over here in a pole, and he can just jump up there and dance and pole. Well, maybe not the pole part. No. We may have people tuning out if we do that.
Yes, you definitely have to. Yeah, so anybody that tunes in, watches this camera all day, from pretty much the time I come in to leave is I'm dancing, acting a fool. I do it for you people.
Yes, maybe we could have people, they can stop by the station and put like dollar bills in a box or something.
We'll have a tip jar out front.
A little tip jar for Tori.
Yes. WNOX, we are in Kingston Heights. Come by.
Tip Tori.
Tip Tori.
And tip your waitress. All right, thank you again this week for dialing up 100.3 megahertz and listening to this show. If you're listening, watching over the internet, thank you for tuning in as well. The big news this past week was, of course, the Republican National Convention, and we have a couple of stories involving it. But first, like always, I'd like to point out something I didn't see really mentioned anywhere. During this convention, we had a lot of cheerleading, a lot of pep talk, and tons of feel-goodness going around. Did you feel the feel-goodness, Tori?
I felt the feel-goodness.
Did you? Did you watch any of that this week?
No. there was something, what was, a convention?
Yeah. There was a convention of big government people down in Tampa.
Yeah. I stay on top of things.
Yeah, that's all you get. And there's another one coming up.
Who's next?
It's more big government people, even bigger government people.
That's why I don't pay attention.
But what I've noticed is, everybody is so happy about nominating another person with, like we talked about, a big government solution to everything. The problem, as I see it, is that everyone who flew down there, for the most part, had to pass through the TSA Funhouse. You remember the old fun houses at the fair? You'd walk through a dark room and people would grab you through holes cut in the wall. If you ever went to a haunted house during Halloween, they do it there as well. But getting back to my point, just about everyone had to walk through the old fill-em-up cafe known as a TSA security checkpoint. You would think this would ring a bell in someone's head sooner or later that maybe, just maybe, this was a violation of our rights. All for the boogeyman of a terrorist attack against our airplanes. Yet for all the cheering and speeches and how we shall overcome, I did not hear anyone talking about how we were going to end this garbage, is a good way to put it. Here we are doing away, how are we going to do away with the nanny state we have? A lot of people talked about how they were going to stop the things Obama was doing and implement their so-called right way of violating our rights. I guess when a Democrat is in office, violating our rights is done in a way that is not acceptable to the Republicans. But when their guy is in office, violating our rights is done the correct and permissible way. From listening to some of the speakers this last week, I think that involves holding a Bible in one hand and my private parts in another. And no, I'm not being sacrilegious. I'm making a point. Because if we could, according to them, if we could just get God back into our security checkpoints, then everything would be okay. We could all sit around and sing hymns while our freedoms and liberties are carted off to some warehouse in Washington, reminiscent of the ending of Indiana Jones. I wonder if God ever gets tired of us invoking his name whenever we want to get people to allow us to do something unconstitutional. It is really interesting how he always agrees with the side that is making that argument. I think he probably finds it humorous when he says, "I stand at the door and knock," while we here on earth, thinking we know better than he does how to do things, rely on the kick in the door and make sure you're doing what we say you should method of compliance. Now, whether you subscribe to Judeo-Christian beliefs or not, it is fairly easy to see that one as powerful as God is described to be lets us make our own decisions and then live with the consequences, while our government has all but decided that we cannot even be trusted to cross the street without being told when to do it. And if you do it at a time or place other than when they say it is okay, then they'll penalize you. And if you cannot be trusted to make that seemingly small decision in your life, then, well, how can you be trusted with anything else? This is the problem we're having in this country. We have a bunch of people in Washington, both elected and unelected, that want to tell the rest of us what to do, when to do it, and even how to do it. If we utter so much as a complaint or post something opposing this idea, then we are in danger of being carted off to a mental institution and committed against our will, because who in their right mind would oppose a government who is only wanting to take care of us? Well, we're up on the first break here real quick. This week we have a lot of stuff to get to. And if any of it offends you, well, maybe you needed it. We'll be right back. This is Patrick Riggins with The Patrick Riggins Show. We'll be back in a minute and a half, 2 minutes.